Hello, everyone. Isn't this week been amazing? Hasn't been this week? I'm so excited I can't talk. This week has been amazing. It's Wednesday, and today I have with me my good friend, Danielle Perlin-Good. She is a written legacy coach, and she is going to talk to us about how to become a best-selling author. And I'm about to just let her do her presentation, and I'm here. We might have some conversation, but I am just as excited about this as you are. So I am here to learn. I am excited to prepare to go on this process. I self-published kind of on Amazon a book earlier this year, kind of just that first step to have this sense of like feeling into like, oh, I could do this. And so now I'm ready to hear about like how to really do this. So without further ado, Danielle, welcome.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for that nice and kind and warm introduction, Alicia. I'm so happy to be here with you and with all of the amazing women in the group. I'm so excited to give you some really great, solid advice on how you can create and become a best-selling author. And it's probably not what you think and not what you've heard before. So I am excited to share this with you. So I just want to introduce myself a little bit more. I'll move this over a little so you can see. We'll go in the bottom here. So this is me and my little baby, my son and my husband. I live in the Chicago area with my husband and toddler. I have a background in journalism and digital marketing. And I've worked at the Tribune Company as well as Albert Whitman and Company, which is an esteemed children's publishing company in the Chicagoland area. I have over 12 years of writing and editing experience. And right now, as the written legacy coach in the last couple of years, I've worked with emerging leaders to unleash their memoirs, self-help, and personal growth nonfiction books so they can share their powerful legacies and transform lives. And the goal for all of my clients and everybody I encounter is for them to have a beautiful, error-free, and publishable manuscript. So that's about me. So let's start talking about some quotes. And the reason I like to start with just these basic quotes is to get in the right mindset of what it really means to become a published author. And Alicia, I'm sure that you know this as well from self-publishing. And this is one of my absolute favorite quotes. So I love Brene Brown. I'm sure you have a lot of people in your Facebook group who also love Brene Brown, and I'm sure you do as well, right? And she says, very few perfectionists ever publish books. And this is something I want you to write this down. I want you to ingrain this in your brain as you start writing your book or as you're on your second or third draft, because nothing is perfect. There's going to be some sort of mistakes. When you self-publish a book, or if you traditionally publish, you look at it 5 years later, there might be something that you would have changed. There might be an alteration that you would have liked to have made. That's okay. It's published, you're done. It's as simple as thinking about it in terms of an essay that you're turning in for college or a paper that you're turning in. So I want you to think about it in that way. So this is another really great quote by Christy Ling Spencer. So I want you to edit your life by focusing only on those things that bring you joy, purpose, and inspiration. Anything else is not worth your energy. And this is
I love that so much.
Right? And this is a cute picture of my son with a dirty shirt because he brings me joy. And when we're writing, especially about something that is really near and dear to our hearts, and particularly if we are writing nonfiction, most of my clients are in the nonfiction category. And I'm sure a lot of people in your Facebook group as well, Alicia,
yeah.
Writing business books, writing memoirs, writing something that's very personal. And it's really important to, while you're in this writing process, to make sure that you are in a place where you're able to accept that joy and accept that peace, right? So this is something I really love to do, and something that I'm actually really excited to share with you guys as well. I'm actually going to become a certified energy healer next year in 2021.
No way. Okay, we totally have to talk about that later. That's amazing.
Yeah. I'm so excited about that. So I have found that, and we're going to talk about this visualization exercise also, but I have found, I'll talk about this briefly, that really when you become a best-selling author, if that's what your goal is, if that's what you really want to achieve, it has everything to do with mindset and with the healing that is involved with what you're writing about. There are people who take years and years to write their memoirs and personal growth books because they're not at the place where they can talk about what happened to them. So a lot of my work and a lot of this work, if you want to have an amazing book that really captures your soul and captures readers, has everything to do with you healing yourself. Okay, so in this visualization exercise, you can do this now, you can do this later. But what I want you to do is, we'll spend a couple of minutes here. And I want you to get comfortable. I want you to put your feet on the ground. I want you to, relax your shoulders, relax your fingers, relax your toes. And I want you to think about your ultimate goals of your book. I want you to think about, do you want to become a speaker? Do you want to just sell lots of books? Do you want to create a movement? What is it that you want to be able to do with your book? What comes after the publishing process? Okay, so I want you to imagine this. I want you to imagine this goal. If you're speaking in front of thousands of people, I want you to imagine how that feels. How does your body feel in that moment? Okay, I want you to ask yourself, what is the energy in the room like? Okay, I want you to tell yourself and continue to tell yourself your book is making a difference in one person's life, one person in that audience. They will create something, they will do something in their life because of the message that you gave them in your book. Okay. Your book is able to change that person's life for the better. And how amazing is that? Oh, I just got goosebumps and chills. Okay, so you're writing this book not only for yourself, you're writing this book for that person. Okay, so I want you to think about that. Okay, so like we talked about a little bit, I want you to think about your overall goals again. Okay, I want you to journal about this. I want you to meditate on this. Whatever it is that you do, if you go on walks, if you have a sacred space in your house, if you want to light a candle and just relax and watch TV for a couple of minutes while you think about your goals, whatever brings you peace, I want you to do that while you consider your goals. Okay. So let's get into this even more specifically. Okay, so what is the goal of your book? Okay, and then I want you to think about what that ultimate goal is, what that point B is. And then I want you to think about your point A right now, where you're at. I want you to ask yourself, is fear preventing you from reaching your goals? I want you to ask yourself, where do you see your current project in 3 months? 3 months can pass very quickly or very slowly, depending on how we utilize our time, which we'll talk about. Okay, when would you like your book to be published? Let's talk about the long term, right? And one of the things I want to encourage you to do, and we can talk about this later as well, something I talk about a lot, but we're not going to get into all of the details with marketing a book right now. But when you think about when your book will be published, I want you to add 6 months for marketing. Okay. And then I want you to ask yourself, how much money have you set aside? Okay. Either way, no matter which way you end up publishing, which we can talk about, okay, you will ultimately spend money because you are also creating this as a business for yourself. This is either part of your business or you're creating a new business. Okay. When you put a product out, whether it's a book, right, or something else, it's part of a business endeavor. And if you are interested in selling your book, well, we have to think about these ultimate goals as the first step. Okay, So the second question I always ask everybody I meet is, what is your overall message that you would like your reader to receive? What is that theme? Okay. I want you to ask yourself, if your reader could take away 3 key points from your book, what would they be? Okay. I want you to think about, is my theme loss and then prevailing hope? Is my theme, I reference this example quite often. In The Glass Castle, Jeanette Walls is the author of that. Is your theme a memoir where you had a rough childhood and then persevered, right? What is the message that you really want your reader to take away? Okay. And I want you to remember in this message, when you're writing this book, this is your first book, right? Or if you've written a book, this could be your second book, right? But the idea is that this is one book. This is from one point, one slice of your life, right? Or we look at the messages and themes throughout your life and we say, okay, which message do you really want to convey? What's really on your heart? Okay. Then I want you to look at competitor titles. So what this means is going on Amazon, going to Barnes and Noble, going to your local independent bookstores, going online at, you can look at Half Price Books, for example. And I want you to look to see which books have similar messages to the one you want to write. Okay, no matter what the category is, there's going to be a book in that category. The last thing I heard about book sales, I think a week ago, I heard on a podcast, there are 4,000 books that are published on Kindle daily now. Not nuts? Nuts, right? Yeah. So there are competitor titles out there. And if you don't want to look at it as a competitor, you can look at it as a friend, right? A friendly title. Okay, so this is a really important point because a lot of people miss this point and think, oh, my message is the only one out there. Well, no, but you have a unique perspective on your message. What are these other unique perspectives and how can they interrelate with yours, right? Look at those reviews.
I love that you've got research in here, because research is just huge. And even if it's just, if other people have written something similar, you can read the reviews to that. And it just gives you a huge leg up on just being aware of how people are reacting to that kind of message. And it just gives you a bunch of good information. It's about information that's there that you can find that's just going to help you inform you around that space that you want to go into and speak to.
Exactly. And I think that a lot of people, well, I know because I've talked to lots of people, unfortunately go in blindly with this process. And, a lot of people think, oh, best-selling author, I, just have to get a bunch of people to review my book and have it be Amazon #1 for a day. That's great. But if you're not thinking about all of these things that we're talking about today also, then it's going to be a lot more difficult to get more than your friends and family to buy your book, right? And that's the goal, right? That is one of our goals. So my third question that I always ask is, who is in your target audience, right? And I was actually listening to an Amy Porterfield podcast the other day, and the new lingo now is not necessarily looking at your ICA, your intended target audience, right? It's your target or your intended, I guess, person, right? That one person, it's the community, right? It's your ideal audience community.
I like that.
I should have put target audience community here.
So, right, but yeah.
Right, exactly. So think about the importance of value. What does this community value? What morals do they have? How do they determine what their relative worth is, right? What do they care about in their life? Okay. And then you want to look and do some more research, right? On what is your unique perspective that can make a difference in these people's lives. Okay. And then again, we compare and contrast looking specifically at the audience, not only the messaging, but the audience. You see how we're building upon this? We're building one step, and then we have these next steps in order to achieve all of our goals, right? So then we talk about establishing the know, like, and trust factor. Okay. Obviously, this is more, again, with marketing strategy, as Alicia knows also, right? But a couple of things to just think about, right? And I'm sure your audience is very knowledgeable about this, but sometimes we don't know exactly what we need to do. And one of the things that I want you to remember is, and this is a mistake that I've seen, you don't want to have a website with your book title. Okay. Your book title can change. You can do a different volume. You want to have everything under one umbrella. And usually, more than likely, what lots and lots of people are doing and find success with is doing this under your name. Okay. If you already have a coaching business, for example, and it's under your name, and you have a website under your name that's HTTPS and secure, and let's say you have an email list already and all that jazz, I want you to just put another tab on that website. You do not have to create a whole new website. If you want a landing page and you want to utilize the landing page to do ads and use ClickFunnels and all of that stuff, that's a whole different conversation, right? But if you want to have this under your coaching umbrella, you put it under the same brand. Okay. We don't want it to be different.
I love that, because a lot of people have that question, and I love that it can be that simple, and I totally agree with you. And I think it's great to find times where simple is great, and it can just be that simple.
Yes. And really it is, I was writing down some ideas the other day for content, and one of them is really just keeping it simple. That's really, I feel like sometimes, especially if we wear lots of hats, and a lot of us are, or most of us, right, in the group are entrepreneurs. We wear lots of hats. A lot of us have kids, lots of businesses, lots of different experiences. And sometimes it's hard to concentrate and make sure that we're actually it's just about keeping things simple. And
I think keeping it simple and keeping it heartfelt. I really love what you started with at the beginning. And I feel like keep it simple as much as you can, especially with tech and branding and delivery. And don't make things complex that don't need to be, but go deep and go detailed when you're like focused on serving people and your heart for people and what's going to help them and what's going to help them get that transformation and the message that you're supposed to share. Like, go deep and make that complex,
Right. Exactly. So one of the things that I love talking about, and this is, something that I actually have, I'm writing my own nonfiction book about it now. And I have to make more time, right? Then we'll talk about time as well. But what I like to call writer's block is actually the writer's mindset. I don't believe in writer's block. And I actually was listening to another podcast, and Seth Godin was on there, and I love him. I think he is one of the most creative geniuses in our time right now. And
yes.
And he also noted about how he doesn't believe in writer's block, and it really is about the mindset behind what's happening. Okay, so the whole idea about mindset, and this is my first pillar, right? So I've discovered that in order to get those first 3 steps, we also need to consider these 4 pillars. And the first one is mindset. Okay. And in order to create a success mindset, we need to understand that if our mindset isn't aligned, then our stories that we want to tell might not be aligned. Okay. So in order to become confident about your book idea, I want you to focus on the action, not the outcome. Okay. So these are aligned actions that can create those goals that we talked about in the beginning. Okay. So we don't have to only focus on what's going to happen in 3 months. Those are questions to think about what your overall goals are. But then we need to backtrack, right? And we need to say, what are these aligned actions that will create this goal? And what is something I can do today? What is something I can put on my calendar, right? So one of my favorite sayings now that I talk about is, I want you to tell yourself and write this down. You can complain or you can act. Okay. If you're complaining about something, that's great. That's fine. Like, good for you. But but nothing's going to change if you don't act. Right. And then I have a whole thing about limiting beliefs versus victim mindset. Okay. So a limiting belief is based on the fear of the unknown. When you have a victim mindset, you're telling not only yourself, but also the world around you that you can't do something. You are making an excuse for yourself. Okay. And this is a really important differentiation and something to really discover within yourself. And what are your limiting beliefs, right? Think about this. I had a client the other day say, we backtracked, right, from not only her goals, but I asked her, do you consider yourself a writer? And she said, no. I said, well, that's a limiting belief that we have to get over in order to take those aligned actions in order to achieve those goals. You see how it all goes together. Okay. So then I want you to think about, when was the last time you scrolled on social media and you were comparing yourself to somebody else, either in this group or in a different Facebook group or on your newsfeed? Okay. So when you do this and when you say, oh, maybe I really need this course, maybe I really need this PDF, maybe I really need this, I want you to think about, is this an actual aligned action? Is this an aligned action? Sometimes it is, but a lot of times it's not. Right? And this is something I have done as well. I've spent lots of money the last few years on things that I now realize had nothing to do with my aligned actions. But this is the reason that I've determined this is not only from my experience, but also from what I've seen in my clients. Okay, so if you're constantly looking for this somebody else, for what somebody else is doing, and constantly comparing yourself to others, this can prevent us from achieving our dreams. Okay, so something that one of my colleagues, Sarah Cannell, does is, let's see. Oh, sorry. Okay, so something we do is, it's called the future author bio, and this can be very, very, very powerful. So I'm gonna see, do I have mine here? I can put mine in the comments, but basically, I want you to think about many years from now, what is your future author bio? Do you have dreams of creating an article and writing an article for Modern Love, for the New Yorker, for the New York Times, for a specific blog? Do you have dreams of being a guest on Fresh Air with Terry Gross? Like, there are different things that will be attractive to you. But I want you to think about this. I want you to write this down. And because what happens is, we're about 80% more likely to achieve our goals if we write them down. Okay, so this future author bio can also include personal things. If you say to yourself, I want to get married, if I want to have a family, okay, I'm not saying, there's lots of things involved with those, right? But you can create that manifestation and those serendipitous moments by starting to write those down and starting to really believe that these can be achievements. Okay. Do you want to be on the Ellen DeGeneres show? Do you want to be on The View? Like, think about where you can see yourself. We're talking 10, 15 years in the future, and that's fine. You can even do 20 years into the future. But I want you to consider how this future author bio and how this can actually become you, how this actually reflects your higher self from that visualization exercise that we started with, right? So you see again how we start from the visualization exercise about your higher self and where you are. And now we end with writing this future author bio. Okay.
I love that exercise so much. I just want to challenge everybody to write yours today or this week and share it in the group.
Yes, I would love to see them. Absolutely love it. So before we go through contact information, I want to let you know a couple of the pillars. And these are things that I talk about on my Instagram, on LinkedIn, and my Facebook group. And the other three pillars are time, energy, and value. And we need a combination of mindset, time, energy, and value in order to make those aligned actions to achieve those goals. Okay. If our calendar isn't right, if our mindset isn't right, if where we're spending our energy and expending our abundant energy is not sufficing us to create those aligned goals, if we don't value ourselves, if we don't value what we have to say, then how is anybody else going to value that? Right? So I want you to think about those, and I want you to consider those. And that's something, you know, that I'm writing about now and talking about more because I believe in that. So
I love that. You just gave us a brief nugget of like what your framework is. Like,
yes, that's my exact
that's
framework.
awesome.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And it's really applicable to any type of book, even novels. So it's great. So I appreciate you guys watching this today. Thank you so, so much, Alicia, for having me. This is my contact information. I would love to connect with you guys. So one of my favorite things, this is a new quiz that I have created. It's called What Type of Writer Are You? It should take about 2 to 3 minutes. And I want you to go to this link right here, bit.ly/typeofwriterquiz. Okay, and what that's going to do is just give you an idea, just a very brief idea of what you are struggling with and what your aspirations are. And you'll be able to learn a little bit more about yourself through that. And from there, you will be receiving several emails over the next couple of weeks with different nuggets of information and ways to work with me. And my promise to you and my promise to everybody I work with is, again, to get that beautiful error-free publishable manuscript. So I offer ghostwriting services, book coaching, and editing services. And I tell everybody, if you want this manuscript, we can make that happen. And there are different ways to do so depending on how involved you want to be in the writing process and in the process of forming that story, forming your manuscript. Okay. So I am working out a beta program right now for next year, a group program, and I would love if you wanted to fill out this form and let me know what your interests are. It would help me greatly. So that's why that link is here. So it's bit.ly/4pillars program. And then if you say, you know what, Danielle, I've been wanting to write a book for 2 years. I've had it on my plate. I need your help. Let's do this. Then please fill out my clarity call form and book a call with me for the next couple of months. I think I might have some more availability before the end of the year, but more than likely we'll probably connect again early in 2021. And I know this is going to be a resource in the group. So if you see this and it's like June of 2021, then it's still going to be the same link. So
Excellent.
Please fill it out, and it's a free 45-minute call, and I do that so that we can learn more about each other. And I always say, if we're not a good fit, I will try my best to find somebody who can help you achieve your ultimate goals.
I love all of that, Danielle. Thank you so much. And I just love how, I feel like however long that wasn't that long. I feel like you have successfully painted a picture for us and shown us that if we want to do this in 2021, this is something that we can accomplish. And you really laid out a framework and I love that you started with the visualization and the mindset, and I love your framework. I love it. But yeah, at the beginning, you're like, yeah, it's all these details. And yeah, people often don't know those details, but I think there's so much power in demystifying something and knowing where to find something. And I'm interested in doing this with you. We're going to be talking, but I already feel like I've learned several things. I have more thoughts on how I can prepare and how I could get ready. And I just feel more encouraged and inspired. You've lifted my belief in myself. And so I'm speaking that to thank you so much. That is the goal for this week. So much of this week is about I usually say this at the beginning, but now I'm saying this at the end of the session, which is fun. My goal for this week is that there's strategies and tools and just, you can write a book, you can create a program, you can, all these tech tools that are just amazing, all the social platforms, there's so much opportunity that it can be overwhelming. And that's where you need clarity and community and guidance and stuff. But basically, there's all these strategies and tools and all this potential. And so we're talking about a bunch of that this week, but we're weaving into that. We're also talking a ton about like who you need to be and the mindset you need to have and what you need to think and do and feel in order to be the person who is able to receive that abundance and to step into aligned action and to actually do the things and believe that you're the person who, like, yeah, other people do that, but like this is for you too. Whoever you are, this is for you. If this speaks to you, do all the exercises, share with us as a group. Right now, I'm in the comments. Let's chat about this, tease out some of this. It's super fun. Reach out to Danielle. If you have any questions, you can send them to me. I'll get them to her. You can also just reach out to her. All right.
Yeah. And
I'm going to go ahead and
please feel free to connect with me. I'm on Instagram as well, and Facebook with me and all the things. So please don't hesitate to reach out. And if you have any other questions or you're not able to join us live today, but you are interested in asking a specific question, and if you don't want to necessarily comment, please feel free to message me or Alicia.
Yes, either of us on Instagram or Facebook. I love it. We are all friend everybody and follow everybody everywhere because I'm excited about all of that. Okay, I'm gonna finish this. All right, here we go.
Thank you so much.